Hello and welcome back to the John and Adrian podcast. Today we're going to start off with the NBA and how if you still haven't registered to vote, go vote. All 30 NBA teams, I believe their arenas are open to vote. So if you live by an NBA arena, that's a good place to do it. If not, find somewhere else. You can do it. But let's get into the playoffs. They're back. After the NBA suspended its operations for a couple days, we've got some pretty good playoff games. I want to start off with the Lakers series. They demolished the Trailblazers. Everyone's like, not gonna lie, they had us in game one, and I was kind of worried. After game one. But
yeah, it all ended when Damian Lillard was out. At that point, they didn't have a chance for a comeback.
Yeah, the moment Damian Lillard hurt his finger and then subsequently, tore his left thigh or whatever? I don't know. Remember he messed up his leg and had to get sent out of the bubble. It was all over for the Trailblazers. But that first game, they were riding hot, and they were hot. They were killing it. I was worried that Charles Barkley might actually be right. But he's not. He's never right. He has terrible predictions. So Lakers are good. They're gonna destroy Houston or the Thunder. I mean, actually, let's go into that series next because there's a game 7. But I think if let's go game 7. We love to see that. I think my personal take on the Houston Lakers series, if it happens, would be the Lakers win it in like 6 and then the Thunder in 5. What do you think?
They'll probably beat I honestly think they could sweep the Thunder.
Really?
The Rockets could maybe win one game, but I don't see them doing better than that personally.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a fan of the Rockets. I think
I don't think they're good either.
Team. The Thunder, I think, are a better team, but as we saw they were down 2-0, right? Or was it 3-0?
The what? The Thunder?
The Thunder in this series.
It was like 2-1, then 2-2, then 3-2.
Yeah, I see.
And then,
so, as we see in the first half of the series, I don't think the Thunder can slack around against the Lakers if they want to win a single game.
Right.
So it would depend. If they win this game by a wide margin and then come into the series hot and manage to steal like the first 2 games or something, then I could see the Lakers. I think the Lakers win 4 straight after that.
Okay, yeah, like they did with the Blazers. Yeah, I think the Lakers are definitely more likely to like drop the first game in whatever series they play next, and then do what they did. Mainly because they're not going to play for such a long time, and I feel like you lose your rhythm if you don't play. That's how the Trailblazers got us in that first game, is because they've been fighting for their life. They've been forced to stay hot.
We haven't played our starters since
since like the start of the bubble. So all right, the Thunder forced a game 7 against the Rockets. It was the Thunder were actually down in game 6. I want to say like by like 5, 6, 7, 8 points in the last like 3 minutes, and they went on like a 12-2 run to close the game out and win. And it was a good game. They played basketball. I mean, the Thunder shouldn't be in this series, but they are. Like, I remember when they were like, we're trading Paul George, Russell Westbrook, and anybody else that has any value. I'm like, okay, the Thunder are not going to be that great this year. But they've been good. I
think they won this series because looking at the stat sheet, Danilo Gallinari popped off for 25 points. I don't know if he's been consistently good or not, but I would assume that Dennis Schroeder and Steven Adams are typically Chris Paul's next best players.
Right.
So they did not have a good game at all. Dennis Schroeder only got 12, and Steven Adams, he had 14 rebounds, but he only had 6 points. I think if they want to win this next game, then I think both of them have to play better. And if they want to have a shot at any game against the Lakers, then I think they need all four of their good players to have good games consistently. And I don't think they can do that, which is why I don't think they'll beat the Lakers. But I am hoping they beat the Rockets.
I want to see the Rockets fall.
Yeah, I just want to see them fall. I don't know. I like Russell Westbrook, but he's not playing. So
no, he's back. He played in Game 6.
Oh, he's back.
Yeah, he played in Game 6, which is even surprising.
That's why they lost,
right? It's like you have. Well, I guess Russell Westbrook might not be 100%. Maybe that's why he came back, but it's still like he's there, you know.
Yeah, he had 27 minutes, so he wasn't too limited.
Right, like he was a part of the team. He played. Oh, was it? Who was it on the Rockets in Game 5? I want to say it was Tyson Chandler. He hasn't played since February, and in Game 5, he came in for, I want to say, PJ Tucker and shot the 2 free throws because PJ Tucker got ejected, right? And he missed both of those free throws and instantly got subbed out. He hasn't played since February, and in the 0 minutes that he played in Game 5, he missed both his free throws and was instantly subbed out. And I was like, that's beautiful.
He played in this last game for 38 minutes. So
no, I'm talking about Tyson Chandler.
Oh, Tyson Chandler, the guy who subbed for PJ Tucker.
Yeah, subbed for PJ Tucker.
Yeah, he hasn't played
in a long time. And when he did play, he missed his free throws, and it was hilarious.
Poor guy.
Yeah, he played for 0 minutes.
He had one job. Easiest job in the world. Just make 2 wide open buckets. And he's like, nah, I don't want to do it.
No. The Nuggets Jazz series has been crazy. I mean, just because Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell are both balling out. They're like, which is insane to me. I think I saw this stat earlier. It was the players that have scored like 50 points in a series, right? It was Michael Jordan, Allen Iverson, and one other player, and then Donovan Mitchell and Jamal Murray. And Donovan Mitchell and Jamal Murray have both done it like twice in this one series. So it's like they're both playing out of their minds right now. And were the Nuggets or were the Jazz up 3-1 or I can't remember. They were.
I remember I watched that the last.
They were
3-1.
Yeah.
I watched it. B-dubs, and I was with Isaiah, and he's like, "See, I told you, Jazz got this series in the bag."
Right.
2 days later, 2 games later. Like, I don't know, man.
And the Nuggets are kind of coming back. They're the team we thought they were going to be going into the playoffs. I mean, it's really, I don't know. They've both been playing well, I guess. I don't know. There's nothing I can pinpoint on why.
It's interesting, I think, because both these teams are kind of like the iffy teams, where it's like they have good games in the regular season, but then playoffs they choke. So when they play each other, you can't really accurately compare it because you're like, we expected the Jazz to choke, or we expected the Nuggets to choke, right? Either way, the winner's victory is kind of like tainted because it's like, well, you just beat the Jazz. You didn't beat a really contender for the title, or you just beat the Nuggets. You didn't beat a contender for the title. And like, despite both these teams being good, they're more regular season good. They aren't playoff worthy, I don't.
Yeah, it's yeah, there's nothing you could do. And then, so is that all the Western Conference series? Oh no, the Lakers and the Mavericks, or the Clippers and the Mavericks. That series, so it has me so upset. Like, mainly because like the Clippers weren't that much better than the Mavericks, right? Like, the Mavericks should have forced a Game 7 or a Game 6, but it's like Porzingis wasn't playing. Luka was playing injured that entire series. Marquise Morris was trying to murder Luka in every single game. Like, and then he got injected in game 6 or yeah. So the evidence right there. He was trying to murder that white boy. So like I don't know. There's nothing you can say or do like about that series. It's like yeah, it happened the way it happened, but it's like man, I was hoping for more out of it.
So the Clippers are gonna end up playing whoever wins
the Nuggets game. Which I mean, it's hard to tell because I feel like the Clippers are a more vulnerable team. Like because especially with the Mavericks, in my eyes, should have done better, but they were just terrible luck, right? So I'm thinking the Jazz, the Clippers probably are going to be able to handle the Jazz better than the Nuggets, but I really don't know because of the both of those teams' reputations of like just not succeeding, right? I don't know. It's hard to tell.
I don't think either team personally would have a shot against the Clippers. I think the Mavericks were the best team until the Lakers have a shot at taking down the Clippers. So
right. Okay, let's move on to the Eastern Conference semifinals. Celtics, Raptors. Interesting little factoid here. The Raptors have only lost to the Celtics in the bubble, which is interesting.
So were they 0-2 against them or something?
Yeah, in the bubble. So I don't know. I think Celtics have it in the bag. I don't see that.
That's one of those things where like both teams are good, but one of the teams just happens to have the other team's number, and it's unfortunate that it happens this late. Because this happens especially in others like football when it's one game and you're out. If that other team just has your number, like I remember one year the Panthers and Saints both made the playoffs, and the Saints beat the Panthers 3 times that year. Like sometimes a team just you can't beat them no matter what, no matter how much better you are than them or how much worse they are than you. You just can't beat them.
Right.
And these teams I feel like are evenly matched, but if the Celtics have the Raptors number, then it's just over.
Yeah, there's not much you can really do if like you just can't beat a team no matter what you do.
Yeah.
And it was like it wasn't like that game 1 wasn't even close, right?
Yeah,
it was like
I'm looking, it's like 10, 20 points right here that they beat them by.
Well, it was like in my memory of it, it was like there was no point in that game where it's like, oh, the Raptors
are going to come back.
Yeah, it was just like, oh, the Celtics won. They've beaten them. Yeah. Which, I mean, maybe the Raptors bounce back. It is just the first game of a series, right? It's saying like the Lakers, right? Yeah. Like we thought the Trailblazers were going to give the Lakers trouble, but it was really just a sweep with a fumble of a first game.
Yeah.
The Heat, though, I say the Heat 4-0 the Bucks.
I don't know about that. I mean, are the Bucks in that much of a slump, do you think? I mean, Chris Middleton and Brook Lopez had a good game. It was Giannis. The Heat found a way to stop Giannis. So.
Here's why I say this. The last 9 NBA Finals have had either the Heat or Andre Iguodala. What do the Heat have today? They have Andrew Iguodala, and they are the Miami Heat. So therefore... They are going to the finals. They are going to the finals. All right. 10 years in a row, Andre Iguodala or the Miami Heat in the NBA Finals.
Who was it last year? The one kid who'd been on the
I remember.
The Nuggets, or not the Nuggets, the Warriors.
He has and then he went 3 for 3.
He was 3 for 3, and he didn't make it.
No, he's still on the Raptors.
Is he?
I think so. I don't remember his name.
He didn't make the playoffs. I don't remember his name either.
Oh my god, what's his name?
I don't know. I'm betting after what's his name too, the Pelicans guy. After he didn't make the playoffs, I'm like, man, I don't know how I believe in these sports legends anymore.
Well, there was it was Shaq. I want to say,
oh yeah,
a couple years ago, his thing got broken.
Yeah, but that's because of time, right?
Yeah, that.
You can't just play with everyone all the time.
Well, it was like since going back to like I want to say like the late '80s or early '90s, he'd played with a player that was in the finals, right?
Yeah.
So, and then like a couple years ago, or actually he played with LeBron. So this past year, because the only way he kept it alive was because he played with LeBron, and LeBron didn't make it, and the Warriors, none of the Warriors players had it, and none of the Raptors players had it. So yeah, I want to say it was this last year, his record was broken. Like stuff like that, I think is really cool. And that's why I'm going with the Miami Heat to make it to the NBA Finals, and they're gonna win it. No. Oh, dang. Yeah, so Bucks or Heat all the way.
I think the Heat definitely have a shot. I mean, I'm not looking at it from the lens you're looking at it. I'm looking at it from a basketball perspective. I think the Heat have a genuine chance to beat the Bucks. But I think the Bucks are. I mean, the same thing happened with the Magic. Everyone was like, "Oh, they're slipping. The Kings are gonna fall." And it's like, no, they lost the game. The 8th seed here, they're losing the game to what, the 4 seed?
I believe so.
I don't know. I'm not bought entirely into the Heat, although they have so far had a more impressive playoffs. I mean, 5-0 versus 4-2 against the Bucks, but I don't know. I think the Bucks are still going to win at least 2 games in this series. I don't think the Heat sweep them like you think.
Well, at the very least, they're going to win this series. But I found the guys. I found Patrick McCaw. He's the player that we're looking for. He is currently he's still on the Raptors. I don't think he's played in any game in the playoffs so far, but he's only ever played 34. Or no, okay, he's played 37 games this year. So I mean, he's averaging 4.5 points a game.
Nice.
2
That's
assists.
What you want from your ring bearer.
2 rebounds. He's carrying the team out there, bro. I mean, he's got 3 rings. All right, that's more than
anyone on that team.
that's more than anyone on that Raptors team. They only got 1. Patrick has 3. I was gonna say that's more than like Carmelo Anthony. All right,
Who's better, Patrick McCaw or bro? He's got the same number as LeBron James, bro.
Oh dang! Oh wow! Nah, LeBron's gonna get one more though. Yeah. He's got what? We can list a whole bunch of players. I think Jeremy Lin has 1 because he was on the Raptors team last year.
Yeah.
So he has more. Jeremy Lin has a ring. Do you have a ring, bro? Yeah, that's crazy.
So if the Raptors play the Lakers this year, who you taking? The 3 ring to LeBron or the 3 ring to Patrick McCaw?
Well, the Raptors aren't going to play the Lakers this year because it's going to be the Miami Heat. So
I'm putting my money on Patrick McCaw. You can put it on Andre Iguodala. I'll put it on Patrick McCaw.
Yeah, I have full faith on Andre Iguodala or the Miami Heat. He could not even be on that roster by the finals, and I'd be happy because it'd be 10 straight years. I mean, honestly, when you do and/ors, you could really make anything happen, right?
Anything happen.
It's like, you could say LeBron or Stephen Curry has been in the finals for the past 10 years or whatever.
I saw one. It was pretty funny. It was based off going into this playoffs, and the guy was like, since the inception of the NBA, a team from the East or LeBron James has made the playoffs. Let's see if it happens again this year.
That's funny. I mean, he's not wrong because a team from the East has made the playoffs or LeBron James. So, do you want to? So that's what. Yeah, this playoffs are going to get a little bit. So we have the Game 7 games coming up, and then just the series in the East that's happening.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's like okay. All right. Do you want to move to the Jaguars of the NFL? How the Jaguars? How dysfunctional of an organization they are.
So, are you referring to the Leonard Fournette thing, or is there other stuff too that is causing them to be dysfunctional?
Well, the Leonard Fournette thing is definitely a huge what do you call it? Like a huge factor to it, right? But so it was here. So the Jaguars, right? Remember back in 2017 where it was the Sacksonville Jaguars, where they were like this up and coming team that like.
That was 2018, wasn't it?
I want to say, well,
that was the year they went 10-6.
I think it was 2017. When they went to the Eastern Conference Finals, right? It was one of those years, right? It was 17-18.
It was 2018. I think it was the 2017 season. 2018.
Okay, yeah, all right. So we're on the same page here.
Yeah.
So they were destined for this greatness, right? They had, trying to find the list of players on the only player left from that team that's worth anything, or the only defensive starter from that 2017 season is, I believe, Miles Jack. Other than that,
they still have Telvin Smith too, but
no, he's gone.
I thought he said at the beginning of the season he wasn't going to play, that he was sitting out until a full year went by of him not playing because he was dealing with off the field stuff, he said. And so this season I thought he was coming back.
Shoot.
Like he didn't play last year, and it's because he told the team, I'm sitting out. Or no, his Wikipedia page says he's a former linebacker.
Yeah.
Did he retire?
Yeah, he's.
Oh no, he was charged with unlawful things.
Yeah. He's. That I told you, John.
Oh well. Back to the Jaguars.
I'm trying to find the list, but I can just off the top of my head, right? They had AJ Boye, Jalen Ramsey, Blake Bortles was on that team. Ngakoue, Leonard Fournette, Calais Campbell, a bunch of players. Yeah, a bunch of players was on that roster, and if you look at it today, it's gone. All of it's gone.
And it all started with Jalen Ramsey leaving, right?
No, I would say it was before that. But yeah, he was definitely, I'd say, the biggest piece to leave.
Once he left, it was like, okay, now it's definitely over.
Yeah, the writing was in the water of, okay, this is for sure they're done with.
You say the writing was in the water?
Yeah. But okay, so Ngakoue, their DN, right, that has been wanting out of Jacksonville for so long, he basically took a $6 million pay cut to go be on the Vikings. And Jacksonville, so the term of the trade, right, is right now they got a 5th round pick. But if Ngakoue becomes a all-star or Pro Bowler, they get a 4th round. If he becomes a Pro Bowler and the Vikings win a Super Bowl, then he becomes that pick becomes a 3rd round. So they basically got a 5th round pick.
Yeah.
So he got traded out, and then when he got traded out and the news broke, Leonard Fournette tweeted like, "Big ups, brother. Happy for you. Way to get out of town," or whatever. And then 24 hours later, he gets cut, which is interesting.
Well, apparently, they were trying to trade him, but in a media interview, Doug Brown was like, "We couldn't get anything for him. Not even a 6th round pick. No one would give us anything."
Right.
Dang.
I feel like that's so insulting. Because I feel like if I were another player looking at that, like not only do players want to get out of Jacksonville to begin with, but the head coach, or that's his role, right? Yeah. Insulting Leonard Fournette, which I'm assuming has some other players in the league that like him. So him disrespecting Leonard Fournette like that on his way out would disencourage me from going to that team.
This isn't Doug Marone's first incident. I remember before Jalen Ramsey left, there was a big thing about Doug Marone screaming at him.
Right.
And screaming back. But I think Doug Marone just has a problem with his player interaction. And I think he could end up leaving very soon if he isn't already in talks to leave.
So I'm going to read you a list right now of the Jaguars' first-round picks going back to 2011, all right? So we start off in 2011. They drafted, in the first round, Blaine Gabbert. He is currently with the Buccaneers. And in 2012...
Okay, but he's been with a bunch of teams, though.
Yeah, he has.
He's never going to be the starter.
Right. But these are first-round picks. Blaine Gabbert's still in the league, and if you think about it, like, players from that 2011 draft should still be, if they're good, like,
they should
be on that team.
But Blaine Gabbert is going to end up having, like, a Josh McCown type career at best. I don't know if that's fair comparison. Right,
but we're just going through the list. Justin Blackmon, the receiver they drafted in 2012. Has not played since 2013. He is suspended still. 2013 they drafted Luke Jokel, an offensive tackle. He
did pretty good. He lasted a while.
He last played in 2017.
Well, 4 years. That's a good run, man.
2014 they drafted with their first round pick Blake Bortles. He went to the Rams, and now he's a free agent. In 2015 they drafted with their first overall pick Dante Flower. He got traded to the Rams and is now with the Falcons. In 2016 they drafted Jalen Ramsey in the first round. He got traded to the Rams and is still with the Rams. And then in 2017 they drafted 4th overall Leonard Fournette, and he got waived. Which Leonard Fournette last year? I don't know, but
let's look at Leonard Fournette was the 2018 pick.
Yes.
In 2019, they drafted Josh Allen.
Okay, yeah. So he's still on the roster. He's probably going to be gone in a year or two.
And then in 2020, they drafted C.J. Henderson.
Right, which they just drafted him, so it'd be surprising if they already got rid of him.
These last 2 drafts, I feel like they drafted quite a few people to replace people that they've let go.
Right, because
they drafted Jawan Taylor in 2019, probably to replace some other people, offensive linemen that they let go. They drafted Clavon Chasen at LSU this year. He's probably replacing all their leaving defensive linemen. They also drafted They drafted Josiah Scott, corner out of Michigan State. So I feel like they've been aware of the fact they're going to be losing a bunch of key pieces.
Yeah.
And they're trying to rebuild now, which is smart, but I don't think it's going to last.
Yeah.
As long as Doug Marone's the head coach. And even then, they hired Tom Coughlin to be the GM at the same time.
He's terrible. Yeah, he's not good at what he does as a general manager. But the Leonard Fournette thing, it stings for I like Leonard Fournette, right? Like, I think he's a good running back. And I'm surprised they couldn't get anything for him. But it stings.
That's why it makes you feel like it's a lie.
Yeah, I think he's a good player, and like they it's just on the Jaguars. And but the thing about Leonard Fournette, if he has like problems with the organization and they just don't like the way he acts or carries himself or something, right? The 2017 draft class for running backs is loaded. That's why this offseason for running backs is going to be loaded, right? Because you have I had the list of every single running back that was picked, but it's like
I think
here it is.
Guys like
okay, all right, here in the first
Elliott, Leonard Fournette, Christian McCaffrey was drafted in 17.
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey was drafted on the first round as well. Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, Alvin Kamara, Kareem Hunt, James Conner, Tariq Cohen, Marlon Mack, Aaron Jones, Chris Carson, Austin Eckler. I might be missing out some other guys, but all those guys, like Chris Jones was drafted in the 7th round, right? So no matter what round you drafted a running back in that draft, you got a running back. Like,
yeah, you got a starter.
Yeah, like that draft class was dumb good. So, but also to add insult to injury, Leonard Fournette was drafted with the fourth overall pick. Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson were still on the board. So,
but they thought they could win with Blake Bortles. This is coming off of this is the season leading into their playoff run.
Right.
So, I mean, you can't blame them, especially, I mean, coming out of the draft, Deshaun Watson was a risk at best. People were not high on him. And Patrick Mahomes was a nobody. Andy Reid is just that good of a coach that he saw it. So, to not take a chance on either of those players when you have a quarterback you think you can win with, I can't blame them for it. But hindsight, obviously, is 2020. And if you redraft, those are the first 2 players you're going to go.
Yeah, I mean, and then followed by like Alvin Kamara or something. But yeah, those are probably the first 2. Patrick Mahomes is probably right now in his career the first pick if you redraft. It's like, it's not just this incident right now, right? Like they've been letting go of players for so long because players don't like it there in Jacksonville. Like like the culture in Jacksonville is just so terrible. Like no matter how long they've been an organization, they will forever be an expansion team.
Yeah.
It's also what was it a few years back when the report came out that like 25% of all NFL complaints were towards the Jaguars. Like that's a terrible stat, right?
So 32 teams, and you make up a quarter of all complaints. Although the Jaguars have an unfortunate kind of stereotype around them. Like when you look at the team and where it is, it gets a lot of backlash for having like racist tendencies. There's been a lot of stuff in the news throughout their longevity about poor upper management and things like that. But none of it can really be like that. Like it's not like the Redskins Dan Snyder instance where it's like we have multiple reports. It's just like it comes off as like just disgruntled former employees or like I didn't like the Jaguars and so I'm gonna say something bad about them. But the problem is that it's like every time someone gets fired, that's what they have to say about it, right? So it's just interesting.
Yeah, I think we made fun of the Jaguars long enough. So let's move on to, let's see, do you want to talk about Derwin James and how unhealthy the Chargers are, or Alvin Kamara's situation?
Let's talk about Derwin James first.
Okay. Do you know what's up with him?
He is injured, right?
Yeah. So Derwin James
needs surgery.
Yeah,
what's wrong with the Chargers for that?
Well, Derwin James needed like a knee surgery, right? So he's going to be out for 6 to 8 months. So he's going to miss like the first half of the season, probably into the playoffs, somewhere around there. But the Chargers organization, I feel like, is a cancer on their players, mainly because it's not even Derwin James that's injured. It's also their like Mike Williams, I believe, is also injured.
Every star that's on their team has a history of being injured.
Right, like
Phillip Rivers used to have that. I mean, he's not on the team, but he had a history of being injured. Keenan Allen had a history of being injured. Travis Benjamin, Mike Williams, Antonio Gates, all their offensive linemen, everyone except even Joey Bosa.
Right. Like
no matter where you go on the team, there's injured history.
Right. Like I can't remember a year where the Chargers weren't injured to start that year. It's like,
Yeah.
what is this? Like, I don't understand.
I'm gonna fire the medical staff. If he already did, fire him again.
Right. Fire the medical staff.
Fire the guy who hires the medical staff. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Or just maybe, how about let's just do different drills in the off season? Like, let's do something a little different here, guys. If everyone gets injured every single year.
Yeah.
But
I remember there was one season where everyone was hyping up their defense, saying how it was going to be so turnover prone because they did the thing where they pop off at the end of the season the year before.
Right.
Because they're playing bad teams, right? And so it was like they're finally going to come back, and then both their starting corners got hurt: Casey Hayward and Jason Verrett. Joey Bosa got hurt. Melvin Ingram got hurt. Then one of their safeties, I think Jaleel Adai, got hurt. And it's like, okay, yeah, they're going to be great, guys. You're totally right. They can't even play a full 16-game season. They're an awesome defense.
What was it? I mean, the best team in NFL history was the 2010 Chargers. They were rated first overall offense and the best overall defense, but they didn't make the playoffs. So no one will ever remember them. So let's talk about Alvin Kamara's situation. He has been absent from practice for the past 3 days, and people believe it's due to contract negotiations and him wanting an extension, which, I mean, I'm all for. He should get paid, right? But the problem with that on the Saints end is they have no money. Like, literally, the Saints are projected to be $30 million over the cap next season. And that I'm pretty sure that's without adjusting for the cap going down. So they're in a bad spot financially. And also, I don't think Alvin Kamara is going to get his money from the Saints.
I don't either. I also think, I mean, we're saying it's a contract dispute. It could be him protesting. However, if it is, I think he would have been vocal about it.
Right.
He wouldn't just be saying, I'm sitting out. So it's likely contract disputes, but I don't think right now you could rule out every other possibility.
Okay, yeah. But, okay, yeah. But for saying it's a contract dispute, right? I think it's smart on his end to try to get money right now because of how loaded this offseason is going to be with the running backs, right? Yeah. Just with the free agent market alone, not accounting for running backs in the draft. So it's like any running back that gets sent into that free agent market is probably going to get less money than they would hope for, right? And also the Saints might be looking at Alvin Kamara and go, well, you're not worth what you say you're worth because we could pick up Joe Mixon for half the cost and he'd produce just as well, you know?
Even look at last year. His production was down last year. He didn't do what he did his rookie year.
But that's more on the offense or the Saints changing their offense to focus less on him. I feel like. True.
But when you pick up Emmanuel Sanders and Jameis Winston in the offseason, I don't think that's a sign that you're going to start focusing on him now.
Right.
So I think even because they basically said, hey, even if Drew Brees goes down, we're not going to divert to being a run team. We could, but we believe we can win with the other two quarterbacks we have as well. So I think him, even if they didn't have the cap issue, I don't think that he would get his money from them. I think they're ready to move on from him and to pick up a cheaper option that can do just as well.
Oh, we didn't talk about this on the Leonard Fournette thing. We could let's finish out this conversation about Alvin Kamara real quick. But yeah, the Saints probably aren't going to pay Alvin Kamara. He's probably going to get fined a stupid amount of money for basically trying to get more money. So he got no money out of it, and the free agency for running backs is going to be rough. But do you think Leonard Fournette is going to get signed or picked up by an NFL team within, say, the start of the NFL season, which is in like 2 weeks?
I think if what Doug Marone said is true about him not being able to even get a 6th-round pick for him, then no, I don't think he will. I think he'll be one of the players that teams pick up because of an injury or because their guy isn't performing well.
Or a playoff push or something.
Yeah. But if what Marone said is a lie, then I think a team will pick him up by the end of the week.
I think even if what he said is true, I think NFL teams will look at him and ask what his price is, right? Because if his price is like, I don't know what his contract was before, but he was on his rookie contract, right? So I'm assuming he'd want maybe slightly more than a rookie. So I'm thinking $5-6 million a year.
I also think he was a 4th-round pick
for all pick.
He was one of the higher. He was getting paid more,
like 10
average rookie. Yeah,
like 10 a year.
Probably making, I don't know, 8 to 7 mil a year, I would say, because he's a running back still, so he's not making too much.
So he's probably making like 5 to 8. So he's probably going to ask for 9, 10.
For 10.
Yeah, which I mean, NFL teams could argue that no one wanted to trade for you. You got cut by your previous team. I don't know how his production was last year compared to his previous years. All I remember was he wasn't as good fantasy wise last year, which I mean, if he gets picked up before we do our draft, which we should do soon, I don't know. Might have to pick him up. Oh, but have you seen the thing regarding Gardner Minshew? Oh, back to Leonard Fournette before I move on to Gardner Minshew. I'm just all over the place. I think Leonard Fournette will probably get picked up. I'm thinking, I don't know which teams need him per se. Because I obviously I don't. I'm pretty sure the league is in an interesting place where I feel like the majority of teams have either a good quarterback or a good running back, and like aren't really looking for one either way. That's why I think
the Bears could pick him up, especially if they aren't committed to Mitchell Trubisky,
right?
And going back to having that double running back game that they had with Jordan Howard and Tariq Cohen, I think Leonard Fournette would be a good substitute for Jordan Howard.
You know what?
I think that's probably the best case scenario.
I found here
him and that team.
I found here the betting odds for where Leonard Fournette will land. Washington is at plus 300. The Patriots.
I thought of that, but I didn't want to do them.
Yeah, I don't think Washington might be in the lead, but I don't think he'd want to go there. I don't really think any NFL player would want to go there willingly. The Patriots are plus 350, which I'm pretty sure the Patriots aren't a good. Like,
I don't think they need him.
They could pick him up cheap. If he's cheap, they would pick him up. They don't care.
Yeah.
The Bears, like you said, the Eagles are plus 400, which I don't know the Eagles situation, but I'm from.
Team that has Jordan Howard.
Oh, okay. But also, I know the Eagles are suffering with injury, like they always do. I know their offensive line is already injured, and they're asking some of their players to move around and whatnot. Seahawks are plus 600, Steelers are plus 700, the Bucks are plus 900, and then the Dolphins are plus 11,000. I said that right. 1,100.
Personally, I think the Bucks would be the second best team for him to go to besides the Bears. So they didn't pick up a running back in the offseason or draft one.
Who is the Bucks running back right now? I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know.
It's LaShawn McCoy right now.
Oh, is it? Okay. Then, yeah, you'd probably get...
Yeah.
I mean, LaShawn McCoy isn't bad, but, I mean, you could...
But he's not a permanent solution.
Right, yeah. So it's obviously a... Tom Brady's here for the next 2-3 years. Let's get him something that he could work with. So, yeah, okay, Gardner Minshew, back to that. He's running this promotion with an alcoholic beverage company to, if you draft him first overall or with your first round pick in your fantasy league, you can win I forget the exact amount of alcoholic beverages you can win if you draft him. It's like, I think like a year's worth of create
a dummy account just to draft him.
not only do you have to draft him, but you also have to win your championship in your league. Like, and then you get and then you get entered into the thing or whatever, which I mean is interesting, I suppose. I don't know if I can't remember the last time an NFL player like went out and
individually sponsored something like that,
right? Or went out and was like, draft me, right? Because he's been releasing. Most of the
time they say they don't worry about it, but he's like, nah, you need to draft me on your team.
Like, I got you, dog. We're winning this. Like, that's like, he's been releasing videos like that and whatnot. So, I mean,
I think I hope he gets out of Jacksonville soon. I would hate to see him waste his potentially great career on a team that has nobody left.
Yeah, he's the Will Smith meme in an empty room, just standing there. Which I mean,
is funny because he just got there.
Right. He just got there. He didn't even know that all those other people got there. But like, imagine that you're already there halfway through a team stripping everybody out, and you're still left with the feeling of I'm the only one left. Which is crazy.
His nickname, it has it on his Wikipedia page. Born May 16th, 1996. Height 6'1". Nickname Jockstrap King. Jacksonville Jaguars.
That's funny. That's what we call a funny. So we're gonna keep this train rolling on the talk of football, and the first college football game was played earlier this week. Did you watch it, John?
No.
Did you do you mean to I'm trying to find the game because I don't remember who played. It was, oh my god, schedule, give me
Being a lot of canceled.
It was oh my god, what was it? Oh, here it is. Okay. All right. It was the Central Arkansas Bears football team versus Austin Prairie Governors and the Central Bear Arkansas. So this was an FCS football game, which even then still in the state that we're living in currently, the Big Ten is not playing a season, yet this FCS football team is somehow out there playing football. Crazy, right? So the Central Arkansas Bears beat the Austin Prairie Governors with a score of 17-24, and it was, I would say, an ugly game. Yeah. I've seen better, but I mean, it happened. I just wanted to talk about college football mainly to make fun of the Big Ten, because if you think about it, they're not playing a game, right? And the College Football Board released their top 25 rankings for the season with a bunch of asterisks to Big Ten teams saying that they're not going to play, which I'm assuming by the end of the season. Because if you're releasing a top 25, you're releasing, in my head, you're releasing a top 25 of teams that are playing. So all those teams are going to fall out. But also you have players that are just straight up opting out, like the LSU's top receiver, I forget his name, Chase McCoy or something he's opting out. So you have players opting out, which, I mean, good for them. Get out of the system. I'm a big advocate for, if you can go in the first round and you can do it by your junior year, get out of there. You don't have to play senior year. Honestly, I don't think a bunch of college football players should be playing their junior year. I think they should be out by their sophomore year.
Yeah.
But like, also, I think this is going to be a big hit for Big Ten teams, because like teams like Cincinnati, like teams like Pitt, instead of Penn, like Pitt is playing, Cincinnati's playing, and those teams are like right next to Big Ten teams, so they could use the argument of, well, here at Pitt we care about football. You want to go to Penn State where they don't even play? What? You want to go to Wisconsin when you could go to, I don't know, another Wisconsin football team, right? But like, you want to go to Iowa? Well, they're not playing, but here at Iowa State, we're going to be killing it.
You want to go to Ohio State when Ohio Community College is playing football?
Or Cincinnati's playing football. So following this week on Thursday, the Central Arkansas Bears are back at it, and they're playing UAB. So the first actual... Is UAB FBS? I want to say they are.
I don't know.
You know what? I don't know when the first FBS... Let's see. When is the first FBS game happening? Okay. All right. There we go. On September 7th, Navy is playing BYU. So that's FBS for sure. All right. College football is just in a terrible state of affairs. Oh, yeah. The ACC is playing. They're doing their conference thing. Yeah.
So is it just the Big Ten, though?
I want to say it's the Big Ten that are for sure not playing. What's that other conference? The Pac-12. I have no clue what they're going to do. And the SEC, and the ACC are both for sure playing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know what that other conference is. What's that other conference? Mountain? No.
What's the one conference that everyone says it's rigged for? Is it the SEC?
The what?
They're always higher up in the ranking.
Oh yeah, like Bama, LSU.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bama,
Yeah. Which the Clemson should be. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not surprised that they're playing. But their team, where if they didn't play, they'd still make the top four, and people would be like, "What the heck?"
Yeah. Which there's this rumor going around with college football right now that there's going to be the regular fall season football and then like a spring football that's played, which is just going to be
madness, but it's football.
Right. I don't understand how they would be able to do that, or how they'd be able to crown a national championship, right? Like, is there just going to be a fall champion and a spring champion, which that would be just...
And then they play to be the summer champion.
Right, like, but then if Clemson wins the fall championship, are they just going to have that roster just practice all the way till spring to play the spring champion? Like, it's complete madness. And
the players are going to get drafted, and they're like, "Hey, you need to come back real quick. We got one more game."
We're playing in the spring fall championship to determine the national championship. So there's that madness going on in college football. Yeah, it's just a mess, honestly, and I really don't.
Bring the XFL back and ship all these players over there. Okay, it'd be so much better.
Yeah,
I don't need to deal with all this stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's right. BYU is an independent. That's right. Oh, the Mount.
I don't even bother trying to learn college football divisions or rankings because it's just. They only show you the relevant teams in that conference, so it's like if the team does surprisingly well, it doesn't matter.
There's so many teams, and it's so
like you follow Ohio State, Alabama, and Clemson, and every other year there's a surprise team that takes that fourth spot, like LSU or something, and it doesn't matter.
I'm gonna go on a wild statement or a controversial take here and say that the 2014 TCU Bullhorn Frogs were snubbed of an opportunity for the chip. John, you have no clue about that, huh?
No.
All right, cool. It's TCU is a team that was very good at football back in 2014, like really good. They ended the season number 3 Well, so going into like the final week where like the top 4 teams go into the football championship, like playoffs or whatever,
Yeah.
they were ranked 4th, right? But then when the final rankings to see who would play in the playoffs came out, they somehow fell to 6th or 5th, but they won their game. And it's like, how did they fall? Like, how did this team get ahead of them when they won their game and they beat the ever living Dookie out of that team? And then so when everything was said and done, they were ranked 3rd behind, I want to say, Ohio State, who won the championship, and whoever was in 2nd place. So they were robbed.
People say that like sports, like NFL and NBA, like these leagues are rigged. And I look at college NCAA football, and I'm like, how do you think that professional leagues are rigged when you have stuff like this going on? In college leagues, you aren't calling them out for being rigged. It's baffling to me.
Well, it's because the players don't get played, John, so it doesn't, or paid, so it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter if it's rigged, you're not getting cut.
Yeah, no, like, because it's also, the top 25 isn't public, like the voters, you don't get to see, like, it's just a room of people that vote the top 25 teams.
White men who are like, I wonder what team I like the most this year.
Right. So, I think they have to rank their top 25 teams 1 through 25, and it's, whoever gets the most number 1 votes, 2 votes, right, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But like, it's all behind secrecy and shadows, and you can't know who's voting, so it's like, you don't know how the outcome.
It's weird because professional teams or professional leagues, when they do like MVP voting and stuff, you know who's voting. You don't know necessarily what they're voting for, but you know who's on the panel to vote.
Right.
And so based off like their history of how they feel about people, because most of them are media members.
Right.
You see how they talk about people, you can take a guess as to who they're voting for what. Whereas college football, it's like, I don't even know who's voting.
Well, college sports, for that matter, it's harder because there's just so many teams, and how do you? I'm on the side. I think the top 25 is kind of BS, but also at the same time, it's like, I think it's hard to pick the top 25 teams because, like, you have Clemson, which they're in the ACC and have an easy schedule, but the games that they don't schedule, they're able to schedule with any team in their schedule, they usually have like their tune-up game, which every team schedules, right? The team that they're just going to beat the average snot out of, and then they schedule like a game against LSU or something, like a good game. So it's like,
even then, when every year they make the playoffs, they do well there. So you can't say, they just play weak opponents, because once they do play good opponents, they still win. Right.
And it's like, well, maybe Clemson is just different, right? But if you look at another team that's playing weak games but winning, do you count them out because they're not good games, but they're undefeated? So how do you choose between a LSU team that has lost like 2 games, but their schedule is really hard, versus this team in the Mountain West Division that's tearing it up? So
personally, I think it should just be record. I think that should be the tiebreaker, right? If I'm undefeated and you have 1 loss, I think the undefeated team should get in. I think that solves a lot of the issues about, it being subjective and just who other people like. If it's purely based off record and how well you performed in the season, then I think that would make it a lot simpler.
Which I think
more straightforward.
I think it's supposed to be that way, but at the same time, it's like, I mean, there is very much a bias behind every decision, you know? Like, realistically, it should be completely based off logic and how, which, I mean, to be fair, we could just be, both of us just could be talking completely wrong and have zero clue what we're talking about, but, it is what it is, and it's the internet, baby.
I kept up with the college football throughout the last couple years enough to see like very clear bias. I remember one year, Michigan, because I'm a Jim Harbaugh fan.
Right.
I was following Michigan, and they had 2 losses, I think, and they were sitting at 5. And I think the team that was either 3 or 4, they lost. and Michigan won their last game. But the team, they didn't change anything in the rankings. They just left it. And I'm like, but that team just lost. They should have dropped, right? At worst, they should have flipped with the 3 and 4 team, right? And the 3 team lost. So best case scenario is that they drop to 4 because now the 4 team is undefeated and the 3 team isn't. They have that one loss.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't. They just left it. And it's like, it's very clear certain teams they like to put in there and certain teams they don't, which is partly because they know certain teams are going to get other people to buy tickets. Like,
Right.
if Michigan was there,
I mean,
as if Ohio State was.
I mean, Ohio State has walloped on Michigan for the past, 4 years?
Yeah.
So, I mean, they have a point, I suppose, if it's that.
But the thing is, like, if Ohio State, let's say, has 3 losses and Michigan has 1, but the loss is Ohio State, who should go?
I think Michigan, if they have the better record, right?
And that's what's not happening, right? Is that Ohio State is given, like, I think one year their losses were Alabama and some other team, and Michigan's only loss was Ohio State, and so it came down to who we're going to put in, and they chose to put Ohio State.
But I think
over Michigan with the 1.
I think it was like the 2. I think what the problem, if we're going to talk about Michigan specifically, the problem with Michigan is they play really well against everyone but Ohio State. And one other random unranked team, you know? Mm-hmm. They always seem to lose like 2 games, and it's like, oh man, this might be Michigan's year, and then they lose to like Purdue, who isn't even ranked and is like 4 and 5. So
last year, I'm pretty sure Michigan did pretty bad last year. I think they had 4 or 5 losses. So last year they definitely weren't even close. But from signing Jim Harbaugh up until last year, they tend to do well despite the Ohio State game, one other game.
Right. So it is what it is.
But there's just a lot of teams like Michigan, I feel like, where it's like you make it borderline, but because you don't have that history of being a good football program, they don't put you in, even though this one season you did good enough to get in.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to pick, bro. I don't know. Do you have anything else to add for this week?
No, that's all I got.
Yeah, that's all I got as well. Oh, actually, before we go, just want to say rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman, and hope his family's doing well. And I believe there were also other major deaths in the sports world, but off the top of my head, I can't remember. All right, have a good one, y'all.